Got it.
You're up.
All right.
So Representative Yarborough is here with us today by video at the Capitol because he's in special session about redistricting and a couple other minor things, or could be major, but he wanted to join our group in video. And so Representative Yarborough, I know your time is valuable, so I'm turning it over to you.
Yeah, Mike, thanks so much for the invitation. And I'm sorry that I can't be there in person today for the meeting. I really wanted to be there with everybody, but we're over in Tallahassee this week to take care of some issues that some of you may have seen in the news with regard to congressional maps and some other things. And then insurance, as we've talked about before, is something that the governor has told us he'll call a special session for in May. So that'll be coming up, and look forward to additional input that anyone might have on that. So Mike, really, I can volley back and forth with you on the things. I know some of the topics of interest that we had discussed when the group came to Tallahassee, which I really appreciate everyone doing and taking the time to do when you were here. It was great to see you. Some of the issues that came up, from a business standpoint and from a management standpoint. One thing that we did, and all of you are familiar with, is last year, we put in some COVID liability protections for all business generally, and that certainly impacts management personnel as well, to make sure that there's not frivolous claims filed against owners and businesses and things of that nature because of something frivolous that someone might have said. With the sensitivity there as well, that if someone was abiding by reasonable protocol, that they shouldn't just be basically subpoenaed and have to come and defend themselves. But we're sensitive with regard to COVID and don't want anything bad to happen to someone, and nothing's perfect. But we tried to put a balanced approach in place to make sure that businesses were protected, which include all of you, with regard to that. So again, that was last year, but that was a permanent law. That one did not have a sunset in it, and so that's still in place. Wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. Another item that we took care of this session related to tenant safety, and there were a couple of items, the key items in that bill, which was Senate Bill 898. This really stemmed from an issue when a maintenance worker had accessed an apartment down in Central Florida and unfortunately took advantage of and killed a young woman there. And so I think the desire and intent of the legislature and soon to be governor, because it'll be going to his desk, was to make sure that tenant safety is a top priority, which everyone wants it to be, and that there would have to be a reasonable period. There had been the 12-hour period under current law. It would extend to 24 hours, the notification requirement before someone could enter a unit to make repairs, apartments, before they could make repairs, and then just try to add an extra element of safety, and also with background checks and all of that. So that one was important and has a direct effect there. And then bill related to fees in lieu of security deposits, that got a lot of attention, and was something that we know was very important. There were some modifications made to that bill before it passed, that the tenant would have the option to pay the deposit instead of the fee. I'm reading a little bit from notes if you see me looking, but you're the experts, and I don't want to say anything out of turn that I shouldn't say, but basically that it wouldn't require a landlord to offer the option, but if they do, then there have to be certain notifications in place to the tenant. The fee's non-refundable. It's only for securing occupancy without the need to pay the deposit. If the landlord uses a portion of the fee to purchase insurance, different notifications and things of that nature. So there were some things that there weren't a ton of items out there beyond these that we did. We looked at some. There were some that didn't pass that we'll have to look at again next year. And again, Mike, I'm getting a little wordy, so if you want to jump in on anything, then please do. But
yeah, so Representative Yarborough, give us a quick rundown, update of the budget itself. It was the largest budget we've ever basically passed, right? And some of the things that probably can affect us in like the Everglades, the water issue and all that, how those things might come about to affect us in our industry.
Sure. Yeah. And while we're talking, I'll also pull up our list here, budget items. So it was about $112 billion budget. And as most of you know, we touch into so many areas when we're dealing with the budget. We have a tax package each year that runs alongside the budget, and then at the end of the process gets essentially baked in to the budget that we look at. And so, we take things into consideration that affect every area: healthcare, education, transportation, environment, as you mentioned, Mike. And so some key things about this budget, I will add this, and it kind of checks the box on affordable housing, and also with regard to a tax cut, which we're committed to, cutting taxes and regulations however we can to help people. This one might not be directly under the purview of the group, but one thing that was important to me when the idea was put forward was doing a 50% tax cut on the sales tax for the purchase of a new mobile home, which also helps with affordable housing overall. And so that, it sounds like a small thing. I mean, it doesn't add up to be a ton of money that the state was getting each year, but it was a small way where we could help individuals out there. And it's the purchase of a new mobile home, not resales, but just new home at this point, new mobile home. And then also, provide that tax relief. So that was one way in particular that we did that. We did put, with regard to emergency preparedness, we put $8.9 billion in reserves, which we've always put a lot in there, but thanks to good leadership, we have done that again. As far as environmental, we have $2.3 billion for the Everglades restoration and protection of water resources, springs, targeted water quality improvement programs, resiliency, things of that nature. And then $50 million for beach restoration was also put in. And I'm looking at the list: $296 million for state park improvements. And then we also had $670 million for environmental projects and land acquisition if we receive additional American Rescue Plan Act funding for that. And then if there's any other, specific topics, I'm happy to cover, but there's a lot with regard to healthcare, education, transportation, things of that nature.
Yeah, and so all those things are good because it keeps Florida as the basically number one state for people to come to. And in our industry, we manage homes and we develop homes. And so that's a big thing because, the more homes we can develop for the people, and we have a shortage right now, I think the better. All those things help in that because those are all providing why people want to come to Florida and stay here, so.
Right. Well, and wait, there's more, because we, not only for our visitors, but also for our residents, we did put in some new tax holidays for this year. And let me get to that one right quick. We put in some, we always have the back to school, sales tax holiday. And we also this year put in a workers holiday, which is going to be around Labor Day. And so that one is new. And then we also have the disaster preparedness holiday, which is, before hurricane season. That one's going to be 2 weeks this year instead of one. So from May 28th through June 10th, and I can send you this information to disseminate to the group. But the disaster preparedness will be May 28th through June 10th. Back to school is July 25th through August 7th. The one called the Tool Time Sales Tax Holiday makes me think of Tim Allen from Home Improvement, but that one will be 7 days, September 3rd through September 9th, right around Labor Day, and that'll be for all the tools used in different trades out there, like for workers, And then the Freedom Week Sales Tax Holiday, which we created last year for recreational spending and for tickets that you buy for events and other things that go from that point to the end of the calendar year. When you purchase it, it'll be sales tax free, July 1st through July 7th. So that was something that we did too. We did an exemption for 1 year for baby and toddler clothes for all those young parents and maybe some grandparents out there, shoes, diapers, things of that nature, and a 1 month gas tax holiday in October, which we think will benefit actually Floridians, if you can believe this. Floridians would benefit the most because October and May are the 2 months of the year with the least amount of tourists. So we like tourists. We love all of our visitors, certainly, but this was designed to benefit Floridians the most and all. So
that's good. That's really good. So give us, I'll get into this one question. So would you support tax incentives to assist developers with developing affordable and workforce housing, and then why?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and that's something that we discuss each year. I'm always open to incentives that we can give for for different things. And I know that the one of the bills that we were talking about, House Bill 495, that didn't make it into the tax package.
Right.
But I'm definitely always open to these ideas, and we have done that with businesses in a number of different different forms. And so I would be open to it. I would be hard pressed to commit an absolute yes on a future bill that I haven't been able to read yet, because
Right.
things change before the end sometimes, even at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
But I am open to listening to what we could do to provide incentives for the right reasons out there. So a very important topic for sure.
Yeah, that definitely, that's some important things as properties keep going up in value, all those little things help. And like, just a good example, the rent increases are anywhere from 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
That's affecting a lot of people. So those are all these kind of programs would probably go to helping that. So
Yeah, and I know that ties to other things that have come up over the past year, like rent controls and things of that nature. And I think we have to be careful when we mandate some of those things,
oh yeah.
against the businesses and things of that nature. I totally understand. I've been a renter myself. I understand, kind of both sides of that. Probably that side more, because I've never been the entity who's rented property, but I have been a renter. But I can kind of get the balance from a business standpoint, the understanding of it. So we have to be careful when we do that. Yeah, even if it's temporary, because that's come up because of COVID and things like that, but we still need to have a balanced approach.
Right.
And I think that's what we meaning government and state lawmakers have struggled with, because we don't want to just put something out there, and burden the businesses and say, well, because the businesses have costs too. The managers have costs they have to meet as well. So we just have to be careful when we consider some of those things.
Right. That is one, and that brings up another point. I mean, Florida is really a balanced state when it comes to landlord and tenant rights. Basically, I think it's a pretty well balanced state. But we do have a couple of bills that continue to be brought up, and one of them is basically getting rid of the sunset on the rent control. So if a city or county decides to put in a rent control measure, it will sunset after 1 year. So of course, a lot of the bill has been popping up every year for the last 3, and I expect it to come back again next year and the year after. So hopefully we can still fight that off and make sure that doesn't really see the light of day. But that's one, those are the rent control measures that really would hurt the industry overall.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Again, you said it best. I mean, we try to find the right balance. We don't always get it right, because we're imperfect people too, even that are engaged in this process. So we need to make sure that we do it, not just because that's the right thing to do, but like you say, in Florida, and again, not just because we're Florida, but we really want to try to do the best thing and have a balanced approach at really all that we're doing, I believe. And that's kind of the mindset that I bring to the table when we consider these things. And just like I shared with you in the group when you were here, I can't speak for all the others with whom I serve, but I always appreciate hearing from you and others who know the issue, and you're on the front line, you're experiencing this every day, you're very studied in the issues that are important, and all of that. So I like to hear from the experts, and have that information before we make these decisions, which are critical. And then at minimum, you have to live with them for 1 year at least. But some of the things have far-ranging impacts. Even if you change the law the next year or tweak it, then you know how things are. Once something starts rolling, even if you change it, then it can still have impacts that last much longer and have far-reaching effects. So
Right. Oh, no doubt. So we'll tie it up with this. So what do you see as what are the biggest issues for Florida in the future that you see that we're going to have to tackle?
yeah, no, thanks for the question, Mike. So again, talking about property insurance and things of that nature, the governor has said in May he's going to call us back in at a special session, which I'm thankful for, because as I've mentioned before, may have mentioned when the group was here, other than COVID the COVID effects and those who were needing unemployment benefits and assistance back when the big impacts on people's jobs were taking place and everything that we needed to help with. The issue that I've heard about the most from constituents has been the insurance related issue and those impacts. So I'm thankful that we're going to address it. I don't know what the product looks like yet because nothing has been attached to that agenda just yet for May. It was just announced this week that we would probably be back in May for that. So when we have something, we can take a look, and I hope it will go far in the right direction so that we can really make an impact and help individuals out there with that issue. So that's a big one, as all of you know. And citizens property insurance, it's so many more have turned to that for relief and everything, and it's going to collapse under its own weight. And government shouldn't be trying to solve all the problems anyway. I know how we got into the mess, but we've got to find another solution for that. So beyond that, I mean, there's always issues that come up that we can't anticipate. I didn't know a year ago that we'd take up some of the things we took up this year, but we always need to be committed to the things that make Florida great, that we need to keep doing to lessen the regulatory burdens and keep our taxes low and keep Florida a desirable place for people to come to, people to stay in, and for businesses to grow and thrive, and things of that nature. So as all the issues come up, that's the lens through which we want to take a look at them.
Yeah. So we appreciate your time, Representative Yarborough. So what can
thank you for yours.
Yeah. So what can we do to help you out here in the future? If anything at all, just call upon us. But if there's something that you want us to help you out with, please reach out or let us know.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And I would just say too, just maybe a little shameless plug. I am going to pursue the state Senate seat that Aaron Bean is currently in this fall's elections in 2022. So Lord willing, we'll be successful with that, and we'll be able to keep serving the state in the state Senate. So that said, I would welcome any support and help anyone has, but mainly just wanted to say that if I'm still able to be here, then look forward to working together and caring about the issues that are important to all of you. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Representative Yarborough. Thanks. And we will see you at home and in Tallahassee.
Sounds good. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.